Hello, I'm Mary Lou Novak with Resource, the number 4 Care, where we interview healthcare wellness professionals to educate seniors and their adult children and healthcare professionals on navigating aging and caregiving. Today we have Genell Holloway from Eagle Hollow Enterprises, and she is an expert in healthcare benefits as well as Medicare. So today we talked about covering understanding insurance once you retire. And this is very near and dear to my heart because you just sat down with my husband the other day.
And he's such a nice man. I really enjoyed my time with him.
Thank you. I know if he doesn't get along with someone, there's a red flag because he's an easygoing guy. But he's finally retiring in his early 70s, so he deserves it.
Yeah, and retirement is an exciting time.
Right.
But there's a lot of things that change, including your insurance. And insurance planning becomes even more important because you have to do things at the right time.
Right. And it's a little scary. You know, you've been working, let's say, for an employer for years, and then you're about to go off on your own.
Yeah, and you're so used to, okay, the company has this, and I either choose the high deductible or the low deductible plan and roll with it. I don't have much choice. They tell me when to show up, and they tell me when it's going to stop.
Sure.
And when it's time to do it over again.
Yeah, even when you have life insurance, they come and they make an arrangement for your health checkup and everything. So you're on there, which is a good thing, but makes it a little scary when you're about to change.
That's so true, and people don't realize how structured things are for them or how much is being done until all of a sudden they're on their own.
Right.
And with Medicare, it's such a maze because you hear so many different people's opinions.
Yes.
Oftentimes people have misinformation. They don't mean to, but they are an expert in what they think they're an expert in.
What their experience has been.
And it's not always the right information
for
the person they're speaking to.
Right, it's not a one-size-fits-all.
It's definitely not.
Right.
But you do definitely have some timelines that you have to meet. So, retirement really doesn't eliminate your insurance. It makes it more important for you to shift with them, with the insurance, so that you get the right coverage.
So when should someone start thinking about what will happen to their health benefits when they're approaching retirement?
Well, if they're approaching retirement before they turn 65, there's an avenue we need to go. But if they're going to, whether they shoot to work after they turn 65 or approaching their 65th birthday, which is a great time of life, is we have to know how Medicare works. And so it's always good to seek out a professional who understands Medicare and can help guide you in the timeline. The key thing is to seek out that professional 90 days before your 65th birthday.
Okay. So we're all saying on your phone, put a reminder in prior to your 65th birthday. With an alarm to go off, maybe how soon before? 3 months?
Yeah, 90 days.
Minimum of 3 months. So maybe 4 months, because we know how these things work. A reminder to seek out a professional.
Right, definitely.
That's a
and
good
you have
idea.
to understand, too, that Medicare doesn't cover everything like most people think that it does.
Yes.
So it depends on the options that you choose. So let's start with the foundation, which is Medicare when you're turning 65. There's Part A, there's Part B, there's Part C, there's Part D, and they're all different silos in some way. So you have to do things at just the right time. And I'm not going to belabor what all that means today, but you can sit down and make an appointment with me if you'd like, and I'll be glad to explain that. It takes me about an hour to really adequately cover just those 4 parts and how it all works. But timing is everything.
Okay.
So we always start with ssa.gov to apply for Medicare A and B. So that's the first step, and then I'll be happy to walk you through more details on that.
Okay.
So,
are there penalties for enrolling late to Medicare?
Absolutely. That's why it's so important to talk with a specialist who knows, who understands all the rules. If you're continuing to work, you may not need to apply for Medicare, but you have to have credible coverage. If you're covered under a spouse, you may not need to, but it depends on their insurance, if it's credible coverage or not. So it's important to speak to a specialist, either way, a Medicare specialist who understands the rules.
There's, you know, as you retire, you start learning a lot about retiring. And one thing I've been listening and I've found out is the penalty or that you have to pay extra for Medicare if you're at a certain threshold. I forget the acronym for that. I want to say
that
IRMA,
is IRMA. IR, I don't remember what it stands for right off the top of my head.
Probably Internal Revenue something. Yeah.
It had to do with how things have been paid in and how much income you have.
Right.
You may have to pay a little bit more if you're a really, really high wage earner.
Yeah.
But and you may not. You'll have to pay something even if you're a low wage earner.
Sure. But I think that just goes to seeking out a professional ahead of time, because you'd want to know whether you fall into that category. And if you wait too late, because they have a 2-year look back, don't they?
It is.
Yeah.
And if you're a high wage earner, you need to start with your financial planner at least a couple of years before you're going to retire, so that you can adequately plan that.
Sure. Plan for the expense being higher, but also find out if there's anything that you're going to do in your life that might put you over, like if you were to increase your income because you sold a property or something like that. There could be implications.
Or if you're gonna take your 401k and cash it out. There's a
right.
lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
It's really, really important that you understand the ramifications of the different choices that you make.
Yeah, because sometimes getting set up for retirement, people want to pay things off, so they withdraw things. It increases their income, might push them over. So seek out a professional early is our advice, right?
That's exactly right. And you need to be aware that Medicare doesn't cover everything. And that's another part, a misdemeanor that oftentimes people don't, misnomer. I'll correct that word.
I was trying to figure out what word you were saying.
Misnomer. It's a myth that Medicare covers everything. You know, it's kind of like people think, oh, the government's going to take care of me when I retire.
Well, I paid into it. Now I'm going to withdraw.
And that's not how it works at all. There are a number of things it doesn't cover, including dental and vision. It doesn't cover long-term care. It doesn't cover the nursing home. That is a concept that's been very hard for people. You know, many of us live paycheck to paycheck, and it's hard to part with money that we think we need to pay something now. But the truth of the matter is, you either have to sacrifice now or you sacrifice later. And that's the choice that you get to make. But why not plan in that long-term care?
Yeah, just in case. And nowadays, I mean, in the past, it used to be home care policies where it was you use it or lose it. And now there's so many other products out there that allow you to put money away in case. But then if that fortunately doesn't happen, then you can use, you could still take out the money and use it. So, while the policies were great and they really offset the costs and everything, there's new products out now.
And they're so much better. I wish that they had been available when I was a kid, because my parents might have planned a little bit better and made my retirement years a whole lot easier. It would have been a lot more fun. But the cool thing about it is that even if you never use those benefits in the right plan, then you can still pass that on to your family.
Sure.
And that's important. But it also can give you a revenue stream.
Yes.
That can be adjusted at a time when you need more help. To pay for assisted living or in-home care, whatever that is. But you also have to understand how that works too, because it is long-term care.
Yes.
And they have an elimination period because it is long-term care.
Almost like a deductible would be on a health policy.
So you pay out front, you pay up front
out of pocket,
the first 90 days or 120 days, depending on how your policy is written. So you need to understand that too. And you can always bring that to your insurance specialist, your benefits consultant, and they can help you understand how all this works together.
Yeah, before we leave the home care thing or caring, the other thing is that, I mean, I wish this was different, but they really don't have a good way to pay your loved ones for caring for you. So it usually has to be a licensed, if you're paying out of a policy, it has to be a licensed care professional that's governed by the government to make sure they're on the up and up, to fulfill that, to be able to use the money. And it, you know, setting money aside, if you're able to do it, no matter how big it is or little it is a gift you give to your family. It just
Right.
allows you to remain independent of needing them to care for you longer.
And that's true, and there are some ways that we can help family members be the primary caregiver through the licensed agency. You just have to reach out and follow those rules, and we're more than happy. I also co-own a home care agency, and we have several clients whose family members are employed by us, and they are exclusive to their loved one.
Right, and it's not that difficult. They just have to go through the regular training and keep up with their approval of the state, let's say.
Right, exactly. So we help you follow the rules on that. So it only takes one health event to undo decades of saving.
Yes.
So it's really important that you understand how things can evolve and that you have a plan in place. Just like you planned your whole life for saving, you don't want to give all that away to medical care, because there is a way that we can help you with that as well. So that's really important. Some other things that you want to think about, a lot of people have life insurance only through their company. And that goes away, or they take it with them at a much higher rate when they leave. But it may or may not be the right kind of coverage.
Right.
So if we can plan earlier in life when you're healthy, we can help you get better plans that will do multiple things. Yes, it will. So some people cannot get health insurance, life insurance, when a situation happens that they're no longer eligible for life insurance. So it's really great if you can even you can even do that for your children or your grandchildren, but start earlier while you're healthy. So
we're often on panels with other experts, and one of the panelists I love to be on is one of our good friends, Matt Rhodes, who's a elder attorney. And I can't recommend enough, whether it be him or someone else, that you get with someone that's going to help you think ahead, right? And plan.
And that's estate planning. And that's so important. And right with that goes the power of attorneys. And not things that I do on an insurance side, but things
connected.
Things that I definitely try to include in my retirement conversation, because we don't think about that. And at the time, we're just thinking, retirement, but there's so many other moving parts that play an important role in that. That's why you need a team of people, a financial planner, your tax advisor, your estate planning attorney, and your insurance expert. They all play a role together in helping you have the best plan possible.
Yeah, not to get off track, but I mean, it's the reason why our podcast and Resource for Care was created, because in owning a home care business for 12 years, which I don't own any longer, but I realized that people really don't understand all the details, and they don't plan ahead, and then a health incident happens and they don't know who to go to or who to trust. And that's what this is all about, and that's why I'm interviewing Genell today. Now, how do you don't get paid by the individuals, right?
I do not. I
so
get
all
paid.
Your services are
all
gratis.
Of my consulting is no charge.
Okay.
And I try to be more than thorough in that. And even though it may not be my wheelhouse, and I'll tell you it's not my wheelhouse, I'll suggest that you consider things, and I'll suggest where you go, give you a couple of different options to get that information
get your
correctly, because I'm going to try to stay in my wheelhouse as much as possible, but at the same time make sure that you are aware of everything you need to do. But insurance evolved as life evolved, and sometimes we forget that. We leave the insurance behind, But I want to help you. I want to help people make sure that they do everything they possibly can to protect their best asset, which is their family and their finances.
Right. And you know, Genell has cared for her own family members and still is. Your mom, you care for her. So it's personal as well as professional.
Very much so. And I used to work in a funeral home, and I hear all those stories. You see the worst and the best of family.
The celebrations
in a life,
and the strife.
in a crisis moment. So it can be challenging. But some income sources that as you want to protect your retirement income, some of those income sources may be your Social Security, your pension, your savings, and your investment. Some retirees want guaranteed income stream, and there are ways that we can do that too. Either your financial advisor or your insurance advisor can help with protecting and providing guaranteed income stream.
So you know what your income is going to be every month.
Right. Right, and that makes a huge difference.
Predictability is, then you know where your boundaries are as far as spending your money.
Yeah, and of course your tax advisor would have a role in that too, because if you take too much money out, and then you might have to pay more taxes, or that throws you into a different tax bracket. So all of that should work together in that. So
I had a question.
Sure.
And it came up when my husband was retiring, because he had the option of going with COBRA. How does that work with retirement? I mean, is that an option to go on COBRA before Medicare? Or
I'm glad you asked that question, and it all depends on your age.
Okay.
If you're eligible for Medicare, typically COBRA is not considered a credible coverage for Medicare, so that throws you into a penalty phase if you choose to go with COBRA.
Right.
However, some companies will cover the family members until they reach retirement age, or for the 18 months that COBRA is eligible.
Okay.
And for those other family members, if you don't want to go COBRA or it's too expensive, we can always look at other options. I have short-term plans that we can put the spouse on that's not Medicare age yet.
We ran into that because of my husband and our ages being, we're about 9 years apart. So he's definitely in retirement age, and I haven't reached that yet.
So
it's close.
There's several options. Sometimes, you adopt your grandchildren and they become your dependents. And so you're Medicare age, and you still need insurance for your adopted grandchildren, or whatever that case may be. So there are several different options that we can look at and talk about, and it's unique to each person's situation. That's why it frustrates me so much when people talk among themselves,
and they advocate for something,
that may not be the best fit for the individual they're speaking to.
So when you're sitting down with somebody, what is your approach? How do you gather the information you need to try to sort out what the best options might be?
And that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. I try to find out what their plans are. Are you planning on traveling a lot?
Okay.
Do you have a second home someplace else? Are you planning on staying in one place? What is your health issue? What's your goal? All of that drive which option you might want to go, because there's several options. If you're traveling and you have other places, and if you're looking for the least expensive plan, that Advantage plan may not be your best option.
Okay.
If you are on a very tight budget and maybe something happened and you weren't able to save money for retirement, you may not have many more options other than an Advantage plan from a financial perspective. Each one has their own place, and I want you to have the very best possible for you that fits your budget.
Right.
And so that's the hard part.
Yes.
If you're suffering from some particular health issues that make it hard for you to get on certain plans in the future, you have, when you first turn 65, you have an initial guaranteed issue period.
Okay.
So that again plays a role
Sure.
in determining which way we go. We don't always try to go with the least expensive.
Right.
We try to go with what makes sense.
Yeah, what fits your lifestyle.
For the lifestyle,
yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes your health issues may drive what's
Sure.
the best option. If you can possibly afford to go one way or the other,
right.
then we need to take all that in consideration.
Mm-hmm. We're about 10 minutes out from finishing, so I just wanted to take a short break and promote one of the sponsors that really make all of this education free by going to the resource4care.com website, and that's Harbor Realty. Sherry Harbor is a senior specialist, and she wrote a book, which I can't remember the name of right now, but it's a road to understanding all of the aspects of what to do with your living arrangements. And it's very thorough, and it comes with a workbook.
It's excellent.
It is wonderful, and I plan to have her on soon as well. But Sherry Harbor of Harbor Realty, and it's spelled Harbur if you're looking for her. And we'll put some notification in the podcast, in the video when we
and you're exactly right. That real estate plays a hand in your future retirement plan too.
Right.
And how you manage your financial, because that's part of your financial plan that you have.
Absolutely. We all have to live somewhere, so it may not be where we are living now. And thinking about it ahead of time is not a bad idea.
Exactly. And Sherry's workbook is wonderful to help you think through those options.
Yes.
So thank you. I'm so glad she's one of our sponsors today.
Yes.
So the right insurance plan doesn't restrict your retirement. It protects the life you worked so hard to build. And that includes that real estate.
Yes.
That's
well,
important.
I think it's, I think when I was talking with Leanne Morris, she does the downsizing when she helps people move to smaller spaces. And she has such a positive outlook on that it's not really a sad thing. It's a journey, and it's just right-sizing your life to your situation. And I think the same thing is true with looking forward to your, how you want to retire and how your benefits are going to be covered.
Exactly right.
It's a mind shift that makes it positive. It's not so we're encouraging people not to procrastinate. It's not a bad conversation, right?
It doesn't have to be at all. And I'm going to throw this in too.
Mm-hmm.
That final expense covers burial and funeral arrangement. And that may not be the best thing. I always say that if you can prepay for your funeral ahead of time, that's the best option, because that's all taken care of, and you don't have to carry final expense insurance to cover that. But the main thing is to have that conversation with your family about how you want to be remembered, what's important, and along with that goes exactly with what Leanne tried to do is who do you want to get your stuff? How do you want to do that? So that's all an important part of the conversation. Yeah. And the more you can communicate with your family and define what they should, who you want to have what, and who gets what, it's so much more peaceful for that family. Right.
I've mentioned this before, and hopefully my in-laws don't listen to this, but we went to go visit them, and they have a lot longevity in their lives. My husband's grandmother lived to be over 100, his mother to 95, and so they're walking around thinking they're invincible. And my brother-in-law, we sat at the table, and I bought them the 5 Wishes. Which is a document that helps you sort of have that conversation with loved ones about a bunch of different things. And in some states is a legal document as well. But he said, very uncomfortable about talking about it. And I was surprised about how uncomfortable he was. And maybe it's because I'm in and around the subject so much. Do you find that to be the case? Do you find people uncomfortable?
Most people do not want to talk about it, and I want to give you an example. My stepfather and mom would not discuss what they wanted for their funeral. So when my stepfather passed, he passed without ever telling me what songs he wanted sung or any scriptures that he would like to have read. And my mom was not in a state of making any decision.
Right.
And so it's been 2 years now. Now she's beginning to say to me, I wish you'd done that. Oh, we should have done this.
Right, when they see different
it's
things.
too late. It's been 2 years now. It would have been so much easier. When my husband passed, we had already talked about what he wanted. We made those arrangements. They were all documented to the point that the funeral director spoke in when one of the speakers didn't show up for my husband's funeral.
Oh, wow.
And it was really cool. And it made life so much easier.
Sure.
I didn't have to stress. I didn't have to make all those decisions.
Well, then it could be all about him and not about the decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're about 5 minutes from ending. So what is the one thing you wish every soon-to-be retiree knew about health insurance before they stop working?
I wish that they would sit down with a professional, an insurance professional, and talk through the different part that they need to know of timing. Right. What must you absolutely have to not have to pay a penalty? When should you start? How can you do different things? And the other part that I think is important that people often put off is the long-term care planning.
Yes.
So
the in-case plan.
Yeah. You don't plan to ever leave your home. You plan to. All of us hope that we fall asleep and never wake up.
Right.
But the reality is that's not how it's going to happen.
It's rare that happens.
So it's important to make those plans ahead of time. I meet with people at no cost. I don't always close or I don't try to sell.
No.
My job is educating, and then it's their decision as to who they want to work with and how they want to move forward. But please sit with someone. I do seminars all the time. I can do private seminars, or I can do I can come and do a presentation to.
We also do a panel often with experts, group of experts. Well, as in closing up, this particular education module is more about awareness and reaching out, the advice to reach out early and reach out to a professional. In addition to this recording, there's almost 80 other recordings that are specific topics on navigating aging or aging well. And we just encourage you to find us on Facebook, Resource for Care. Go to the website, resource4care.com. You can click on any of the recordings. It'll either bring you to YouTube for a video or Spotify, the Aging in Memphis podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Genell.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.